All right. We'll talk extra innings during the podcast. What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 562 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the city of Vineland. It's KB and Matt coming at you from Underground Studios. We've got afternoon into evening baseball on. We'll keep you up to date with extra innings with the Phils. We'll talk everything that transpired in the series and in this game as well. We'll talk some Eagles. We'll talk whatever comes to mind, because that's what we do on this show. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI. And you can watch Matt and myself every Wednesday night live before the podcast goes out anywhere at twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Football season is upon us. You're going to have content on that podcast feed 4 days a week, so you don't want to miss out. You want to subscribe. Apple, Spotify, leave a 5-star rating and review. Help us keep this thing growing. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, every podcast on our network, including the Vineland High School Football Coaches Show, which episode 1 of Season 6 goes live in about 10 minutes over on our YouTube channel as we're recording this live. The newly named Guzman's Gridiron is going to be on our YouTube channel as well. Every Wednesday night will premiere on YouTube, so you don't want to miss out on that. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Looking to get to 600 subscribers, hopefully before the end of the month. We are currently at 526, so be sure to subscribe, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, and leave a comment down below on your thoughts about everything Matt and I discuss on tonight's episode. And like I mentioned, this episode and every episode, presented by the City of Vineland and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar, features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. Speaking of local events, I'm pretty sure Food Truck Festival is this Saturday, so make your way out to the Food Truck Festival. I know that is a wildly successful event that the city puts on every single year. So that will be going on this Saturday. And you can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. What's going on, Matt?
I'm living the dream. I have a bone to pick with you, by the way.
Oh,
Saved
boy.
it till we were on air. I heard through the grapevine, a.k.a. my wife, that you do not appreciate the music stylings of DJ Crazy Times.
Oh, here we go.
Miss Billy on Electronica. And I got to say, that is poor form, and I was really upset to hear that. Would you care to comment?
Now, I was misquoted there
Okay.
by my sister, your wife. It's not that I didn't appreciate the music stylings. It is that she played them, and if she wouldn't have played them, one way or another, from the selection of songs she chose, nothing in my life would have changed. I don't know if it was the song selection or the time of the day that she was playing it, but it didn't move the needle one way or the other. It wasn't a negative, but it wasn't necessarily a positive per se.
That's really tough for me to hear. That's one of the songs of the summer for me. Play the Jonas Brothers concert. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for. That's tough.
I'm not opposed to giving it another go.
I think you should really try and give it another shot.
It's not that it is out of the question per se.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we could clear this up. I'm glad we could have this moment because I just needed to know for myself where we stood.
There's the clip for social. We've got Phillies baseball on our television right now in the studio. It's brought to you by our pals over at PHI Apparel Company, our official merch partners. There's no doubt in our minds when you're going to Citizens Bank Park, which met on Tuesday next week. We're going to see the Angels and the Phils. Hopefully Shohei is okay. Mike Trout, I saw his mom at the day job this week, and before the news even broke from the Angels, she told me he's playing tonight. So I had a little scoop there from old Debbie Trout.
You should have flexed that power a little bit.
We'll be down there, and you can be at Citizens Bank Park. You can be at your favorite bar. You can be hanging out with the homies, with your significant other, and you can stand out with your merch from PHI Apparel Company, including Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast merch for all of our podcasts. You can go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND, and you get 10% off any and all merch orders. It's the most effective and direct way for you guys at home to support everything we're doing. So go get your merch, and when you get it, tag us. We'll repost it everywhere that you do tag us, and be sure to tag PHI Apparel Company as well. So go get your merch, get dripped out for Phillies Red October on the horizon, as we hope, and of course, Eagles football right around the corner. Get your Philly Dog shirts. phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND, 10% off your orders. Phil's took 2 out of 3. Working on this sweep. Extra innings not looking ideal right now in terms of the Giants up to bat right now, but the way that Phillies fans showed up to Citizens Bank Park Monday and Tuesday was nothing shy of a postseason environment in the dog days of summer.
Yeah, really important series. You know, I think the Phillies had the chance to really push away from one of their wild card contenders and potentially send them on a spiral too. You know, the Giants over the last month and a half have been limping a little bit, and listening for the cause. We're looking at a hit by pitch. It did look like it in real time. They did get hit, but it's just been a really strange series, full of errors and misjudged balls, and I don't want to call it like little League World Series stuff, but I do think it's interesting that some of the Phillies went to see the Little League World Series, and then this series has been plagued by what I can really only describe as 12-year-old mistakes, both by the Phillies and the Giants. So that's added to the drama of it all, and it's been kind of nice to get one over, as it always is on Gabe Kapler.
And the Giants as a franchise.
The Giants as a franchise, always good to just throw some dirt in their eye whenever you have the opportunity. Lose tonight, not ideal, but, you do also reclaim. You got swept earlier in the season, reclaim a little bit of that series. And this could potentially still even be a first-round matchup for the Phillies. So they have an interesting strategy where they just let 2 pitchers work and then just platoon the rest of the days.
It is the most Gabe Kapler thing.
So I was trying to find the quote. I heard someone talking about it on a podcast that Alex Wood, I guess, was complaining about Kapler's pitching methods. I was like, that sounds familiar. Pitchers talking about how they couldn't sleep because of how stupid Gabe Kapler rotated pitchers in and out of the bullpen and to starting lineups. Almost like the most mental freaks in all of sports that need routine and are just like constantly living on this like razor thin edge of mentality, need a little bit more stability, but who knows? So yeah, that's been nice. It's been a good rebound series too. I think, a little bit disappointing, some of the losses over the last few games. And this is part, like we've mentioned before, like they're at home a lot. This kicks off another big homestand for the Phillies. They have the opportunity to really, extend their lead, or at least make themselves very comfortable, because even though they've, had a little bit of a rough patch before this series, they haven't lost ground in the wild card just because everyone else in that race does not seem fit for duty, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, even looking at the lineup for this Giants team over the last 3 days, I didn't feel as bad after the Nationals series, because that Nationals lineup is arguably far superior to this Giants
just
lineup.
Dunked on the Yankees.
Like, good grief. Like, some of the guys this Giants team are rolling out as there's a base hit that's probably going to clear the bases. Well,
Well, they can't take the Harper home run away from us.
We had a moment. And I mean, just the first two games of the series too kind of just showed like that resiliency that you want. And even in this game too, you're down 5-2 and Harper, turns 1-1 and ties the game up to send it to extras. They've shown like that postseason like resiliency that you want to see from a team going down this stretch run and going into September and October. That's a positive takeaway for me from this offense. Trey Turner doesn't have a flubbering moment last night and wins the game for you. And great quote in The Athletic where Kyle Schwarber said he yelled at Trey Turner. It was like, they walked me to get to you. And Trey Turner said, that's kind of like the mentality that I remember loving watching this team do last year in the postseason, and he took it to heart, and Trey wins the game. And like the ballpark cam of last night looked like a playoff game, and it was a Tuesday in August, which was just absurd. So, I mean, credit to the 40,000 plus that have been going down, during the week this week to make sure that it's been a playoff environment as well and wreak havoc on this piss poor Giants team that doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really exciting, and I think people are really. This is the time of year too where I think there's this lull. Everyone's really waiting for the NFL to pick back up, and baseball, especially with the Phillies, with how good they've been, and obviously nothing is sewn up or guaranteed, but look to be headed towards the playoffs, and I think people get excited about that too. And good to have that support. And like we said, it's always good to at least take a series from the Giants, even if we, as it's looking, probably don't end up sweeping them. Like I said, it's a good mental rebound too. And like you mentioned with Trey, he's had a few big moments over the last few weeks, and I think started to recapture some of that form that we were hoping to see from him. And that gives me a lot of positive feelings going into the final month of the season. So
yeah, I gotta pull this stat up because it is pretty crazy that this has been the case for Trey Turner since the standing ovation game. Jared Carabas tweeted this. Since August 4th, when Phillies fans gave Trey Turner a standing ovation in an attempt to turn his struggles around, Turner's hitting .353 with a 1,007 OPS. Over that span, he leads the team in hits with 24, doubles with 6, and total bases with 42.
That's a positivity right there.
Positivity works.
That is the city of brotherly love right there.
And I mean, you're going to need that from Trey Turner down the stretch here into the postseason. You're going to have Aaron Nola moments, I guess, the rest of the year where he's going to give up those home runs, whether it's in the first inning, the fourth inning. But I do have to say that first game, even though it started off shaky, that was one of the better Aaron Nola starts I think we've gotten all year.
Yeah, and, I didn't even think it was he gets himself out of a jam with a little bit of luck. It could have been really disastrous, but yeah, it did end up working out in our favor. Nola, yeah, he's been a little inconsistent this year, but I think we still know what his peaks look like, which is important to us. Saw this from John Clark. Phillies have 17 comeback wins since the All-Star break. It's the most of baseball. 10 of their 12 wins in August are come from behind wins. And the Phillies have the best batting average in the 9th inning in the National League. So, and we've talked too about how often this team has been in one-score games, and last few weeks they've fallen on the bad side of that. But they still have a very good record in those games, and I do think there's something to that. I do think there's something to, and we even saw it in the playoffs last year. Like this team, some of the most iconic moments of last year's playoff runs were like come from behind home runs, like bases clearing kind of stuff. Like that was kind of the identity and the material of this team. And if that is still there, like it's something that doesn't show up in baseball. Is such a sort of like advanced stats, and you have a stat for everything. You can never find a stat for that though. Like there are just teams over like across all sports that seem to have that just have that little extra bit that they can get to, that extra factor that I don't know if it's concentration or just focus, grit, whatever it is.
That dog in them.
I mean, honestly, like it's a meme for a reason because there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
And the Phillies seem to have that. Like they really do, and that's an intangible that you want your teams to have. And so hopefully that carries on into the playoffs, and we get more action from them. Was that Sosa that turned that, or was that Rojas?
That was Rojas. What a double play. He's so fun.
He really is.
He's so fun.
Yeah, you got him and Brendan Marsh, like as your two center fielders now. You're sort of got a little bit of gluttony out there.
Christian Pache's not even back yet.
Right. So maybe we can get. We're looking to see if Meckler touched the home plate first. I think he did.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess they're looking to see if he left.
Yeah. Now we're gonna have a 7-minute review to see if it's 8-5 or 7-5. Go. It's hilarious because when you're listening to this,
you'll know.
You will already know.
And it's wild too because it feels like that it factor starts with Rob Thompson.
Yeah. He's just he's a vibes kind of guy, but in the right way.
A 60-year-old with vibes is just you love to see that.
He just gives off big family has had a shore house for generations, and just like that is his identity in the summer is sitting on the beach, outrageously tan, no umbrella, just a beach chair, one of those little lunch boxes, has deli meat sandwich and 6 beers, and that is every day in the summer for him. It's just that. He just gives off that kind of vibe to me.
What shore town is Rob Thompson's family shore house?
He is a North Wildwood guy for sure. I think it's a little off the beaten path, but it's nice. It's a little more quiet. Some might even call it maybe a bit of a hidden gem. I don't know. But yeah, he's North Wildwood guy. North Wildwood, I think, still has a lot of the family element to it. But yeah,
it's wild, but not too wild.
Right. It gives you everything you kind of want.
Yeah, he's definitely North Wildwood. That's something we should do towards the end of the summer is categorize Phillies with their shore towns.
Alec Boehm is 100% CL.
I think the entire daycare is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
They're all at Shenanigans or...
Yeah, they're Shenanigans.
The Ocean Drive.
They're definitely that type of crew.
Doing karaoke.
They're doing the no shower happy hour.
Yes.
They're just there all the time.
And then out of nowhere, Jason Kelsey shows up.
Yes.
So let's see.
I think he did touch. I mean, that's good base running.
Yeah.
Maybe Philly should take some notes. We can use some base running tips.
And on top of the daycare, I think John Kruk is a big CIL guy.
Oh, yeah.
Huge CIL guy.
He's like a Strathmere guy that he goes to CIL to hang out, but when he goes to the beach, he's going to Strathmere because he is similar to Rob Thompson. I think that he's got a lunchbox with sandwiches and beer, and that's it. And he's just hanging.
Except his lunchbox has a Salt Life sticker on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's visor guy, too.
Yes.
I'm sure.
John Kruk needs to come on this podcast, too. That would be an absolute treat.
I did read Giants fans complaining about him, saying that he's a homer. And that
you don't say.
He talks about the team like he's their concerned parent on the sidelines. He
kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
He's like the fun uncle who also is just worried about your well-being.
That's why we like him. That's what you should want out of a commentator crew. I don't want my home crew to be like a national announcer that is just non-biased. Yes. How could they not be biased? I think their job really is to be biased.
Yes.
So, I've never tuned in. First of all, I don't tune into that many non-Phillies broadcasts to begin with, outside national broadcasts. But I've never tuned into one across any sport really, and been shocked at their homers.
Right.
It's
listen to whenever your opponent's team just demoralizes you. Your home broadcast sounds absolutely depressed.
Yeah. As they should.
As it should be. Speaking of the Ocean Drive, here comes Brandon Marsh.
Yeah.
But I mean, great series, no matter what the result of this game ends up being for the Phillies. You took 2 out of 3 from a team that was breathing down your neck in the wild card standings, separated yourselves, and the win on Tuesday night, knocked the Giants out of the wild card right now. So now the Diamondbacks are the 3rd wild card, and the 2nd, 3rd, and 3 teams looking in are all separated by 1 game in the National League wild card.
Feels good to not be in that race at the moment,
Yes.
like where every game feels like so much more and has just that extra bit to it. Right now, it'd be Phillies Cubs.
Which I don't know how I feel about that.
We've not played the Cubs well. Strom is injured. It could be a little Spencer Strider thing, where he's injured down the stretch and he comes and he's clearly not at his best.
We did play the Cubs well this year. Last year was like, can we avoid them at all? Because we got swept by them last year.
I feel like this year we've not played them well either. Am I crazy?
I feel like we had redemption.
I do remember last year really
Yeah,
sucking.
last year we got swept by the Cubs in like the most crucial moments.
Oh, we did. I see 3 wins against the Cubs. I think it's the only time we've played them this year. Yeah, we did sweep the Cubs this year. No, we're like 5-1 against the Cubs this year.
Yeah, we got smacked in the last game we played against them.
Yeah, maybe that's just what was lingering in my memory. But
Granted, the first 3 games were in May, and then the other games were at the end of June.
it's just
So,
honestly,
a little bit of a different team. Not that the Cubs did too much to change their team. They
honestly,
traded for Candelario.
the Phillies are the same as like with basketball, where it's like before Christmas, I don't care.
Yeah,
If it's before June, it does not. It's not
Right.
real. It's not real to me. It does
unless
not
they
exist.
won.
Unless they won. Unless we're like the best team in baseball, then that's actually
Technically, the Phillies are 5-0 against the
yeah.
Cubs this year.
Yeah, I think actually, remember when everyone was like wetting the bed last year because like the Dodgers and Braves lost in their first round. I actually think if you have the best record in baseball in May, you should automatically just go to the World Series. You should just represent. You should just get the pennant. I think that's how it should work.
Yeah, I mean,
So we should reward teams.
did you see that tweet? Speaking of the Braves, that some Braves fan put out about their all-stars, and it was like no charges, no off the field ins. I gotta find it because you'll laugh. It made me think of the 55 burger skit from
55 burgers, 55 dollars.
I gotta find what this tweet was because I was like, why are you tweeting this? Like, the Braves fans are the biggest dorks. Like, Mets fans are clinically annoying. Braves fans are just like the biggest pick-me fans.
I seem to remember a few Braves players having some off the field issues.
Yeah.
Didn't Ozuna have something?
He had a couple somethings.
And he had some somethings that he just got told to shut up about, and he did, and it's all, I think, gone out of people's memories. So
Yeah, his tweet is a picture of all their all-stars this year. It said, no allegations, no betting scandals, no arrests,
Yet.
no drama,
yet
just strictly business and some damn good baseball. All right.
we're
Fair
live.
ball,
We're
there
live.
we go.
Yeah,
I just read all those. It was like the 55 burger skit. That's how I read it.
let me go. I'm doing something.
You sure about that?
I mean, it's just that's so lame. Like,
They
who
are
cares? Also,
the lamest.
I guarantee you, those people do.
Yeah,
I don't know.
100%.
It's a weird thing to flex about. I would just flex about the fact that I had so many all-stars. I wouldn't
Yeah.
make it a moral thing where it's like, look at my good boys and how good they are. Like, okay.
Good grief.
You're also still a racist franchise. I don't know how to tell
Yeah.
you that. I
You
think
see your fan base?
I'm not sure that you have any moral
You're not
standing
in
when
the
you're
clear.
still doing the chop at games. I don't think you get to do that.
Absolute losers. But yeah, I mean, this is a great series for the Phillies. Like we said, no matter what happens in this final game here, and then you have the Cardinals coming up this weekend, and then the Angels come to town. And man, I don't know if I've ever seen this historic of a meltdown after pushing all your chips in the middle the way the Angels have. They go and trade so many prospects, go and get so many players to woo Shohei into staying. That is the whole ploy. It's like, let's make the playoffs and show Shohei Ohtani that we can do this. And they have just fallen off a cliff since the trade
It's
deadline.
every year with them. Every year
It
with
is
them,
wild.
they just collapse. It's surprising. I'd love to, they're one of these franchises too that I think just in a neutral way you kind of want them to do well, especially because they have two like great players. Like,
That are both very likable.
yeah, like they're both good. I saw my hot take is I think the Little League World Series is dumb. I hate it. I don't think it should be on ESPN. It's not. I'm sorry. Like even college sports is like marginal. Like, okay,
Yeah.
like what are we doing here? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a downer. The kids are having fun. I like to let kids have fun. Does it need to be on my TV? I'm sorry.
I think my
is this
favorite
bad
part
of me?
My favorite part is the stats score bug that they showed, just to see what these kids have to say is like their favorite show.
This is what I was getting into, is that Team Japan, one of the players, his favorite superhero was Shohei Ohtani.
I saw that. That was great.
I
was like, he's just like me.
Yeah, honestly. That's about the only thing it's good for. I'm sorry. It's just... even when I was a kid, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't... It's the worst baseball you've ever seen in your life.
They've made so many like dumb rule changes that like I've just seen people talk about where it's like every kid has to hit.
I should not. It's like, you know those tweets where it's like, well, posts. I don't know if we're allowed to call them tweets anymore. Where it's like,
it's just like BB&T Pavilion.
Yeah.
We're gonna call them tweets.
It's like, I should not have to live my life knowing that I'll be forced to see the opinion of a 15-year-old on Twitter. Like, I should not have to turn on the TV and see a 12-year-old. And I shouldn't have to go on Twitter and see people debating the rules about Little League. Like, you know, like what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
It's so
There's
ridiculous.
real baseball on this. I'm sorry. They're children. Most people don't even go to their own kids' baseball games. They're like, it's long and hot. I'm just going to drop you off. I'll be back.
And it's not even like with real baseball. I'm sure there's some underground sickos that are doing it. You can't even legally gamble on it.
Yeah, well, you can. If you know the right people, if you know how to have fun. I don't know. It's one of my things. Every time that comes around, I'm like, this is just a bit much. Again, maybe I'm being cynical and pessimistic.
No, it's damn near unwatchable.
I've always thought the Little League World Series is like pretty bizarre. That this is like we're all just like, yeah, we put on like it's terrible.
Yeah.
We don't watch any other children's sports.
No,
you have to be the best basketball player in the country to even sniff ESPN2. Do you know, like when they have like Oak Hill versus wherever when a LeBron Suns plays at the like Canyon School or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to be that. You have to be LeBron's son or LeBron
son
himself.
has to play on your team.
Like to get a game on ESPN2 in like the middle of January when there's nothing going on. And we give like 3 weeks. It's like a 2-week. It's like March Madness, but with like 12-year-old. What are we doing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it is crazy.
I keep trying to stop myself from
And I don't-
laying into this, but I just can't.
I don't know if it's like because there's the international factor to it, and that's why it's like so widely broadcast too.
I guess. I mean, again. At the end of the day, it's not hurting anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in good fun. I've always found it bizarre that this is like people like look forward to this, and I'm like, that is crazy to me. That's kind of wild to me. I know that they're like very good for their age. You know, like they had to win a lot of tournaments to get to this, but it's still just not. It's still not great.
That was a lot of stones, Trey. Yeah, I mean, there's like 2 moments of the Little League World Series that just live rent-free in my head, and it's Monet Davis, because that was just like a huge story, and then Big Al because he hits dingers.
Right. And that half of that was, again, the thing we're talking about, with like the scorecard and the kids get their personality show because kids, just say funny stuff sometimes. But wasn't Monet Davis? She was local, right? Wasn't that? Yeah.
It was the Taney Dragons.
I do remember that. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Not for me personally.
Yeah.
Not a Little League World Series guy.
Phillies lose 8-6. Unfortunate.
Cassiano looks very sad.
Cassia, best clip of the Little League Classic? Cassiano's talking to that kid.
Yeah.
You're a man of the world.
I think they have a similar thing going on, Like, I think they're on an equal playing ground. I want to say that. I think
I saw tweet.
His favorite superhero is Scooby-Doo. The kid's favorite superhero is Scooby-Doo,
There was a tweet that said, Castellanos gives off himbo vibes, but he has such a way with words.
Yeah, honestly. He's a great person.
Oh, love him. Let's take a look at the MLB and NL East, more specifically, run differentials. It's brought to you by our pals over at Wasted Wedge, where a new era of golf has arrived. You guys want to be the talk of your events, your parties, your golf outings. Look no further than the products available to you from our friends over at Wasted Wedge. Think your traditional shot ski, throw that out the window because Wasted Wedge has revolutionized it. It's all plastic. It's easy to carry around. It has extender pieces to have more shots with more fun. And it folds down to fit in the side pocket of a golf bag. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram at Wasted Wedge, and check out their website, wastedwedge.com. And when you go to check out through the month of August, because it is National Golf Month, use code SUMMER23 and you get free shipping on all your orders from Wasted Wedge. That's wastedwedge.com, code SUMMER23 for free shipping through the end of the month. Looking at the run differentials here, don't know if the Phillies will be updated just yet. But we got the Atlanta Braves, who are live playing the putrid New York Mets. They're 81-44. They've scored 722 runs this year to put them at a plus 207 run differential on the year. It's going to be so great, Matt, when this Braves team just goes all nuclear in the regular season, just like they did last year, and it just all blows up in their face.
Well, you have this danger of half of September means nothing to you. You know, I think that's like,
and you're gonna have a bye,
and they've laid the pedal on though. You know, like a lot of their starters have played a lot this year, so even if you just get them, like we were talking about with the Phillies, where you know you can shorten the rotation now, but you can still afford maybe to give guys an extra day of rest here and there. You know, like that. I think that does help, but I do think there's something to like kind of keeping, and we see this in baseball all the time. You know, I would say baseball and hockey are the two sports that I think where momentum and, you know, like is again one of these intangibles, you know, something we just kind of talk about in generalities, but there's no way to define it. But there's something to it, and we've seen it all the time where teams get hot at the right time and just get it in a really good groove. And we've seen teams on layoffs, on buys. There's the President's Trophy curse in hockey, right? Where so many of these best teams, you know, don't advance, and we see it in baseball every year too. Usually, you know, some of the top seeds don't even make it to the the NL or ALCS. So, I still think they're a great team, obviously, and I think they deserve to be favorites for their performance so far this season. But yeah, there's no guarantees. You know, I did not expect the Phillies to beat the Braves in the series last year.
No.
You know? And I wouldn't...
We were nervous as all hell going into that.
Wouldn't necessarily say that the Phillies would be... I'd feel totally comfortable in a series with the Braves. But it happens all the time. Ask the Giants.
Yeah.
You know, like... It's a regular occurrence. So, yeah, that's something they're going to have to navigate really well.
The 69-58 Philadelphia Phillies... looking at a plus 49 run differential and have surpassed the 600 runs scored mark for the season. Now it's 602. The 65-63 Miami Marlins limping along as they should because their expected win-loss rate is 59-69. And although they're 2 games over 500, they have a negative 45 run differential on the season. The New York Mets at 59-68 trying their hardest to hold on to the 4th place spot in the NL East. They have a negative 29 run differential and a half-game lead on the stolen franchise Washington Nationals, who are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, 8-2 in their last 10. But they have a negative 89 run differential. It is ridiculous that the Marlins have the least amount of runs scored in the division this year, and it's by a wide margin.
They're the kings of less than like 4-run wins. You know, like every Marlins game, it's like 3-1, 2-1, 3-2, 1-0. Like it's unbelievable.
It's like binary code,
honestly.
Looking around the rest of the National League, the Dodgers with the second best run differential behind the Braves at plus 138. The Diamondbacks, who are, I believe, now in a virtual tie with the Giants after today's game, have a negative 8 run differential, but are 5 games over 500. The Giants have a plus 3 run differential. The Padres, who are 6 games under 500, have a plus 62 run differential. And then we're checking in on the coldest team in the National League, the Colorado Rockies, 48-77. Have given up 728 runs on the year for a negative 177 run differential, the worst in the National League.
It's a shame we're not going to probably be breaking any records, but it's pretty damn bad.
It's a hell of a stat. Only one team closer, and that is the 36-91 Oakland Athletics, who have scored the fewest runs in baseball this year at 453, given up the most, not by much, at 757, and they have a negative 304 run differential.
Must be hell.
I couldn't even imagine being an A's fan.
Well, apparently they're going to share the park with San Francisco. That's their plan. They want to share. I don't know how that's going to work.
That's a bold strategy. Let's see if it works out.
Let's see how that works.
Good grief. That's rough. Baltimore Orioles still in first place by 2 games in the AL East with a plus 76 run differential. Tampa Bay at 76-51 have a plus 169 run differential. Toronto with a plus 65. The Boston Red Sox with a plus 27. And then you want to talk about falling off a cliff. The New York Yankees, 5 games under 500. Hate to see it. Negative 28 run differential on the season. I saw a tweet the other day. It said the last time the Yankees were 5 games under 500, it was just the skyline of New York pre 2001.
Jesus.
This is like the worst stretch of Yankees baseball this century, which is a beautiful thing to see. Smell that?
Man. You know what? I will say, Earth not in a great place. This year, though, I would say the last few months, something has felt a little right about the world of the Yankees fans all of a sudden. Oh, man. It's just the best. It's just the most obnoxious fans you've ever met in your life that have never even been to a Yankees game, never been to the stadium, never even been in New York City. It's a Yankees, Cowboys, Lakers, Duke fan. Everyone knows one. And then they also kind of like the Patriots for a while.
And they're seasonally Golden State Warriors fans.
They've always loved Steph Curry.
Big Klay Thompson guys.
And just, man.
Number 1 subscribers to Draymond Green's podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Listen to every episode. Auto download, in fact. But, man, it is so nice. It's so nice.
There are teenagers.
By the way, 2009. Long time ago.
I was going to say, there are teenagers in the Bronx who have not seen the Yankees ever in a World Series.
And thank God for that.
It is a fucking beautiful thing to realize.
Thank God for that. I will say, some of the most passionate fans and nicest I know are also Yankees fans, but it is really outdone by the just, like, swamp. Like, they are on this island of, like, clearly, like, love the game. Again, most, like, the most, like, someone I know is, like, very knowledgeable about like loves the sport. He was like minor league, like very, very involved in baseball, just loves it. Big Yankees fan, great guy. But then there's always but it's outdone by like the 20 terrible guys that you know that are Yankee. Like
that's the exact ratio.
That is the ratio. It is for every one, just like good. Shit talks a little, but, they deserve it because they actually know what they're talking about, kind of guy. There's the 27 red.
Wearing their Timberlands, and then you look at the
it's
back of
their
their
Timberlands.
car.
It's the Nike Blazers with goddamn fucking chubby shorts and their dad's polo.
And they're driving their dad's car, which happens to have Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes pissing on the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
And then if they're driving a truck, it's got the silver nuts hanging from the tow hitch.
They're a Rutgers sticker on the back.
Rutgers or Montclair.
Yep.
Ugh. It's so great watching them just crumble. And then they got to pay Aaron Judge, 97-year-old Aaron Judge.
They get to pay Aaron Judge. And Stanton, by the way, too.
Love that.
Remember when they didn't want Bryce Harper? Fucking stupid.
Do you see... I don't know if we talked about it on here. The reasons why they didn't want Bryce Harper?
No.
Brian Cashman apparently did an interview or something. I saw John Boy talking about it, and one of the reasons that they chose not to sign Bryce Harper was because everyone was mocking Bryce Harper to sign with the Yankees. They were the presumed favorite, so they decided not to sign him.
Zigging just to zag. You know, like, what? That's bizarre. That can't possibly be the reason.
George is rolling over in his grave when he said that. It's like, what are you doing? That's how you know Costanza's running the team.
Honestly, maybe that's what happened. Maybe that was just a documentary more than just a sitcom.
Well, he might be, because apparently there's rumors that like Jeter wants to get in the front office.
Let him. I think
it's a brilliant idea.
I think he would do great. I think he would do just as good as he did. I think he would be just as good as a GM as he was a baseball player. And he was average.
Yeah, and not unanimous.
Not unanimous.
Either that or Uncle Stevie in Queens should hire him.
I'm imagining. Remember that like really weird graphic that Sports Center did the one time of like they'd made a lineup of all of Derek Jeter's exes. I'm imagining him like that's his presentation. Like he would like throw that in at the end as like a bit.
Hey,
I hate
this
that
team. Sex appeal.
Yeah, Jeets.
Attaboy too.
God. Insufferable. I love it.
Oh, it's beautiful. The dumbest division in baseball, the AL Central. The Twins in first place, 3 games over 500 with a plus 38 run differential. Cleveland Guardians are 6 games under 500 and have a 0 run differential. And then everybody else in the division is negative 99 or worse. And I also find it comical that the Detroit Tigers, who are 58 and 69 with a negative 99 run differential, are closer to a playoff spot than the Yankees.
Feels good, man. And it's good that they're the only team in the division, too, that is like crumbling.
So good.
It's nice.
It's a beautiful thing. So there's your MLB run differentials brought to you by our pals over at Wasted Wedge. Let's shift gears to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's brought to you by our friends over at Trophy Smack. There's no better way to upgrade your fantasy smack talk than with our friends over at Trophy Smack. I just had my fantasy draft last week. You got to upgrade the trophies. We upgraded ours in my league that I've been in for a decade now, which is crazy. They've got trophies. They got belts, metal wall art. They got turnover chains. They got rings. You name it, they're bringing it for your fantasy leagues. You guys can go to trophysmack.com/underground and start upgrading your fantasy smack talk today. That's trophysmack.com/underground to upgrade your fantasy smack talk. Before we get into the birds, Matt, I know you're a big fantasy football guy. I'll let you analyze the roster here of what we're working with this year. 3 keepers in this league. My keepers were Devontae Adams.
Is this the same league with Dylan?
Dylan, Mikey Ostrowski.
Dylan and I were texting about his. I got to say, he had. I was very jealous when he texted me his keepers, I'm going to be honest. But continue.
So my keepers, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf.
I
threw some D's on that shit.
Yeah, sometimes you got to. If you go the all D team. The best.
Duh team. So this was the draft results for myself. I had the 3rd pick in the draft this year, and our draft works where if you finish in 7th place, you get the 1st pick. If you finish 8th, you get the 2nd, 9th, 3rd. That way, it's anti-tanking. So with the 3rd pick, I took Jahmyr Gibbs. Fell to me. I was very pleased
do not
there.
mind that pick at all.
Then a slew of tight ends started going, and I said, I had Mark Andrews the last 3 years. I wanna keep the tight end good vibes rolling. I got Dallas Goedert with the 15th pick. Then I needed to get another running back, and I took Miles Sanders as the best available running back on the board at 27. Then all of the good quarterbacks started going off the board, and I got probably the last good starter. I got Trevor Lawrence as my quarterback this year. Then I took Kenneth Gainwell, 51st overall. Then I took Jamal Williams with Alvin Kamara being out the first 3 weeks. I said, you know what? Let's take the fun guy who knows how to be a starter. Got Cortland Sutton in the 7th round. I took a flyer on Sky Moore in the 8th round. In the 9th round, I took Tank Bigsby, the Jaguars rookie running back. Then I got the Dolphins defense, took Jake Elliott as my kicker, and then my final pick was backup tight end. I got Gerald Everett.
You an Eagles fan?
A little bit.
Not bad. I don't mind it at all. I think Trevor Lawrence is a good, I agree. I think he's like the last quarterback you can grab before it gets a little dicey. And
He's in like that Herbert
Trevor,
realm.
and I think you can even, usually in a lot of formats, you can wait like a round or two before you've been getting Trevor. I think there's a lot to believe that can go right for Jacksonville, especially offensively.
Yeah.
Defensively, I think there's maybe some question marks with the Jags this year, but I think you add Calvin Ridley to that, to already what was a top 10 offense last year.
I think pressure off Christian Kirk.
He's, I think, primed for a really strong season. Only thing I think Trevor Lawrence got to work on, fumble guy. He just has a habit. I don't know what it is. But he's great. And last year was his actual rookie year.
Yes,
because obviously the first season was just quite the wash. But yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think that's a good team.
Yeah, I didn't hate all the picks, and feels like running backs are the toughest position to come by, especially in a keeper league. So to get Jahmyr Gibbs as a rookie, and then we'll have him for the next 4 years, hopefully, that'll be real nice. But Eagles might be in the market for another running back and creating the ultimate Taylor Swift running back, as the rumors are swirling since the Colts have given South Jersey legend Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade. All types of rumors swirling now that the Eagles and Colts have joint practice this week. Final preseason game on Thursday between these two teams at the Link. I don't see it happening. I know Howie's cleared up some cap space, this offseason and everything. I just don't see going and grabbing a fifth running back to add to this team when you already traded for DeAndre Swift. Kenneth Gainwell, you expect, is going to take steps forward. You signed Rashad Penny in free agency as kind of a guy that you believe in behind this offensive line. And then Boston Scott is here to just absolutely terrorize the New York Giants. I mean, would it be great if you could have Jonathan Taylor behind this offensive line? Absolutely. But it's also a guy who is looking for a new contract, trying to get paid, and that's the complete opposite of what Allie Roseman kind of does with running backs.
Yeah, it's not the way that the Eagles have treated that position. Not the way the entire league has treated that position. There's a reason that things have come to kind of a standstill between him and the Colts. And you don't know either. I think here's what's tough about this too is the ankle thing. You don't know how much of that is just tied up in the contract dispute and him not practicing, or if that's legitimate, if he actually is still recovering from that ankle surgery. That's a big deal, if there's truth to that. So does not feel, it feels like a team that is Super Bowl contending could make that move, and that's their capstone piece. The Dolphins, I think, have been a team that have been really interested, and that makes sense for them because they don't have an established running back. They're fine, I think, pushing the chips in a little bit. They already did it with the Jalen Ramsey trade. Of course, that it ended up going a little wrong because he gets injured and it might miss a really large chunk of the season. But you make those kind of bets, I think, when you feel like you just have something on the margins to gain. Does not feel like an Eagles acquisition at all, though. And I think the cost might even be a little too high if he even ends up leaving. I think there's a real chance he just is still a Colt, and that's it, and that's just plays out the season there. But it's interesting in general just with running backs across the league. You saw with Saquon, you still have with Josh Jacobs, his status not totally clear either. So it's a problem at the position everywhere you look.
Final preseason game as well this week, so we'll see what goes down at the Link. But fun little fight during joint practice too. Apparently Jason Kelce swinging like he's the Wonder Years on Colts players on a apparent cheap shot on Kenneth Gainwell during practice, and it just led to a all-out brawl. And you'll love to see that from Jason Kelce. That's his inner Ocean Drive coming.
Yeah, that 100% is. I've been watching Hard Knocks actually for the first time, and could not tell you the last Hard Knocks I watched, to be totally honest. Been enjoying it. Mostly because I'm sort of preying on the Jets' downfall.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, Robert Saleh comes across as just like,
Ugh.
he should have stayed in San Francisco simply because he fits the mold of like weirdly positive corporate speak guy.
He's Gabe Kapler of the NFL.
He's a little cooler than Gabe, but he just has that like, you're selling me something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are selling me snake oil. I just know it. Aaron Rodgers has been cool though. He's like, it's funny. The first episode, it was so funny because I feel like in the lead up to Hard Knocks, they were talking about how it wasn't going to be like the Aaron Rodgers show, and I think literally the first 20 minutes of the first episode is, I mean, just total Rodgers suckfest. Like they'd like mic up like guys on the side like Aaron Rodgers. There's literally, I think Aaron Rodgers is so cool. Like somewhere, it's unbelievable, and they're just like. Every time he makes a throw, they're cutting to someone like, "Wow, that was amazing!" Like,
Imagine being.
And then they cut to Zach Wilson, who's just like it's. And Robert Saleh was talking about, the offense sucked last year. We want to be in a better place.
Imagine being Alan Lazard or Randall Cobb and just watching this Rodgers suckfest, being around him your entire career.
Oh, Lazard was on the sideline talking about how awesome it was. Like if someone threw a ball, he's like, "Yeah, he does that shit." Like it's been
oh
fun.
my god, that's hilarious.
Hard Knocks is, I will say, I don't have a great memory because again, I genuinely could not tell you the last one I watched. I think it might have been the Rams. However long that was ago, like 6 or 7 years ago now.
Let's see. There's some teams that like I saw were on Hard Knocks, and
no one wants to do it
realize.
anmore.
Right.
And this year they had to do like they did like a just. I think they picked 10 teams, and then the Jets just happened to be the team with the most, with probably the most intrigue coming into the year.
Hard Knocks has been a show since 2001.
Yeah,
that's
it's
crazy.
really it's like if you watch like sometimes like I'll just randomly go on like this weird binges on YouTube and I'll find the like Hard Knocks best moment. I think there was and it's always fun to see like. You don't realize it, but it goes all the way back to 2000. So you're seeing like old footage and like the
2001, 2002, and then it had a 5-year break, and they brought it back in 2007. Then it went 07 to 2010, and then they had like a Hard Knocks special in 2011 with like no team, and then it's been going since 2012, and it was Dolphins, Bengals.
That was the Philbin Dolphins.
Yeah.
I definitely remember watching that one.
Falcons in 2014, Texans in 2015, 2016 Rams, 2017 Bucks, 2018 Browns, 2019 Raiders, 2020 was joint Chargers Rams, 2021 was the first time they did the in-season, which was Cowboys and then Colts in-season, and then last year it was Lions, Cardinals in-season, and now it's the Jets.
I think it's been good. I've been watching the quarterback series on Netflix too, and that I think has been pretty fascinating too. Just to get a little Kirk Cousins, cooler guy than I thought. Good dude. I always thought he was kind of like a weirdo. I always kind of thought he was an ass, and I read Kirk Cousins wrong my whole life.
That's why I refuse to watch quarterback. I can't lose my perception of Kirk
I'm telling you, he's just like a normal, nice
know.
guy. Like he's just
I know.
It's so bizarre. I was like, wow, Kirk Cousins. I kind of like Kirk Cousins now. I think I'm in on Kirk Cousins. I think I'm buying Cousins stock. They had they just showed to get to the Thanksgiving game, and he was talking about like one of his best memories was I guess on like an old Washington team he got to go down and do like the turkey after the game, and they got to do it again last year, and he got to do the turducken, and it's so funny because he takes it like a piece of it back to the locker room with him. And the Vikings head coach is like giving like the post game speech, and he's handing out the game ball to people, and he's just like chowing down on this turducken as he's giving this like really like rah like football speech, like pounding his chest, and like Kirk Cousins just slamming turducken in the locker. It's hilarious.
That's incredible.
Really, really funny stuff.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. We're 2 weeks away from NFL being back.
Yeah.
Next week we'll have kind of a preseason prediction show with football like we do every year. So
I think they did pretty good last year, if memory.
We
memory
did
serves.
pretty well. So we'll have that for you guys next week. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. We got roster cut down day coming up pretty soon as well, so we'll see a lot of moves being made and seeing who makes the cut for the Eagles and around the NFL. But we're gonna wrap here with some quick hits. We just have to laugh. James Harden got fined $100,000 for his.
Well, then he had to clarify too that it was it wasn't about any contract thing because he doesn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
It was about he said he would get a trade quickly.
And then on top of that, James Harden has unfollowed Daryl Morey on Twitter.
You know what? Honestly, though, it is
the second shoe has fallen.
The second shoe has fallen for sure, and I think too it's just let them both fight. I don't know. Just Jake Paul, Nate Diaz. Just
let them be the undercard to Elon and Zuckerberg.
Oh please. Oh, fucking Daryl Morey would love that. He would lose his mind watching that. Like, I love them both so much. Oh, they've done so much for humanity. Fuck off.
Well, Harden.
Just take them both.
Swigging his wine.
They deserve each other.
Yes.
Daryl Morey and James Harden deserve each other.
Let's wrap with the Union. It's brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh areas. You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. Union finish third place in the League's Cup, clinch their 2024 CONCACAF Champions Cup position. And the game that they were going to be playing on the 20th got rescheduled to later in December because of that third-place game. So they are back in action this Saturday at DC United.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, you wrap up qualification for that. The Union made the semifinals of that tournament as well, and it's if you're able to make the latter stages, always a nice feeling. So it's frustrating, like we said, the way they went out, but did lose to the eventual champions. I guess. I don't know what people's feelings are on that. I always kind of like actually when that team loses. I don't really take any joy of losing to the eventual champion because that also means now you're in every winner compilation going forward. Like, so yeah, it's good. It's ultimately good, and hopefully, I think the response was good in that game too, which is a nice thing to see, and hopefully that leads to a good run-in because now we're talking about the Phillies. Union are on the same path, where you're sort of starting to barrel down, and October we'll be looking at playoffs and hoping that this team has a little more juice in them because this could also be the last ride. We've heard a lot of rumors about guys leaving. It's been the last 2 seasons, and you've had to replace it. This does feel like maybe last chance for this team as we know it to maybe get some more silverware.
I was looking at this the other day too. It is pretty wild the discrepancy in teams between the East and the West who are just balling out this year. That seeds 1 through 7 in the East have 38 points or more. Western Conference has one team that has 38 points or more.
Yeah, there's a lot of like mismanagement of some of the teams in the West. You have that in the East too, but in general, the West is in a really interesting spot. I mean, St. Louis is like an expansion team. It's like leading, which has happened before.
Yeah.
Austin last year, I think that was only their second season, and they were one of the better teams in all of MLS. So it just works out that way. Yeah, it kind of works opposite because I think in most sports, the West is typically the stronger conference. I know in the NBA especially so. I like the AFC is really the Western Conference of the NFL, and that has always been I think the one, especially with like quarterbacks, it's like completely stacked. But yeah,
now.
Kind of a nice reversal. I think a lot of the teams in the East too. There's a real discrepancy in spending. Like the West has like big spenders like LAFC, and even LA Galaxy who are really languishing down there. In the East, you really only have Toronto and obviously Inter now, but Inter Miami that have done that. Like,
look where they are, motherfuckers.
I mean, honestly, we'll see Miami next season what they look like, but Toronto have just been a little bit of a shambles, to say the least. But yeah, I would say in the most part, you've had it just feels like the East. Most of the teams there, in my view, are very well run, and like have like a very clear plan. Not to say that those don't exist in the West, but in the East, I think that's why you see that good turnover because I think soccer more than I think soccer is actually very similar to NFL in that you have to be like your planning for the future has to be very smart. Like you have to really think every move and like understand player development. Not that you don't need that in other sports, but I think like roster turnover and development and things like that are really crucial to NFL, and I think it's really crucial to soccer as well. Like identifying targets very early on. MLS is a draft, but in a lot of other leagues around the world, you don't have that. You have to identify 16, 17-year-olds, and hope that you get it right. So I think a lot of teams in the East have that good infrastructure for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Union. New England's been a mainstay, at the top of the table in the East.
New England, since I was a kid, have been a very relevant MLS team.
Columbus is always in the mix. So I mean, there's a lot of teams that have that, in the East, and who knows? We'll see what happens with the Union. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the year when all the rule changes happened too. Like having the 1 seed is not necessarily a priority this year. So sitting comfortably in a points tie for third with Orlando City, but have a tiebreaker there with goal differential. So we'll see what happens when they get back underway. But make sure you guys are following us at Underground PHI on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, and Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. And like we mentioned, football season is here. You're going to have content on that podcast feed 4 days a week. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content coming to the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast feed. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, every podcast on our network, including the newly named Guzman's Gridiron, the Vineland High School Football Coaches Show. Eagles Enemies will make a return week 1 of the NFL season, so you're going to have tons of content on the YouTube channel, along with your traditional mainstay of all the podcasts on our network, original video content, live streams, you name it, it's going to be there. youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia, where we are currently sitting at 526 subscribers, actually 527. So go subscribe. Let's get to 600 subscribers. And keep that pushing towards 1,000. And like we mentioned every show, this show is presented by the City of Vineland. And whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process. And their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. And be sure to get your merch at phiapparel.co and use code underground at checkout for 10% off your order. This has been episode number 562 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. For Matt, I'm KB. We're getting the heck up out of here. We will catch you on Monday with myself and Pat Pitts. But until then, we are signing off. Peace.